everybody. Welcome back to this week's edition of Terrace Talk. Norwich, obviously, off the back of a very good result last week against Cardiff, and they make the trip down to London to the Den to face Millwall. And with that, delighted to be joined by Micky from That Millwall Pod. Just kind of get the kind of lowdown on Millwall ahead of this one. To start, Micky, just want to talk about your season so far. I mean, from afar, it looks like it's been a fairly positive one. You currently sat fifth in the table. I guess, would you have taken that at the start of the season and where you are at the moment?
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, I think we thought we were possibly going to be having a bit of a nightmare season, to be fair. We were playing with a back five. We weren't doing that well. And it weren't looking great. You know, come to win those, we didn't really make many interesting buys over the summer. We got rid of more players than what we seemed to bring in. But then through injury, through fate, through whatever you want to call it, we started playing with a back four. And for some unknown reason, the players started to gel and start to work together. And we start making advances. We start causing people problems who potentially didn't think we would cause them problem. And slowly but surely, we're moving further and further up the table, and hence where we are now, fifth at the moment, still well in it, winning against teams above us and drawing with teams above us. And yeah, we've got a cracking lad from Holland who is probably the steal of the century. I think we paid about 1.7 million for him, and yeah, the guy is formidable. I mean, he's phenomenal. You're gonna definitely probably see him in the Prem in a couple of years' time, 100%. Yeah, Zion Fleming, mate, is a young lad who's definitely going places. But then again, he's sort of brought on the rest of the team. You know, we seem to be great in the back four, great in the midfield. So yeah, it's an interesting game. You boys coming to face us at the wrong time for you, but definitely the right time for us.
Yeah, 2 points between the sides at the moment going into Saturday's game. Of course, you guys played during the week against Luton. Sort of, I suppose, a little bit disappointing that you maybe let the lead slip in the manner you did.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you'd have asked me to do a prediction before the game, and if I'd gone with my heart and probably gone with the head, I would have said, look, a draw is good enough for us. It was a game in hand as such, and we needed to get a draw just so we could keep the fight on. The loss would have you know, damaged our campaign to a degree. So yes, it's unavoidable, but I think realistically, our one of our goals was blatantly offside. We didn't get a penalty decision, so I think it balanced out, and I think the draw was probably a fair point, to be fair.
Yeah, I just want to get sort of your take on the job that Gary Rowett's done since he's arrived at Millwall. I mean, he's kind of had you up there sort of during sort of past seasons, but this season it feels like he's really sort of got it working. You seem to be gelling. I suppose, what's his relationship like with the fans, and are you sort of pleased with the progress you've been making on him?
I think he's all right. I think the reception with the fans is good. I think he's sort of chalk and cheese to a degree. I think some of the fans can't stand him, and don't matter what he does, they won't like him. But I think other fans will just part with him and see him for what he is. He's quite a good football manager. It's just going for, I don't know. It's one of those. You just don't know whether or not is he a fantastic tactician, or is he just lucky because injuries forced him to play a different way, and the players are now playing the way they want to play, and that's really the way it's going. So yes, he's good. He's kept us there, and he's kept us thereabouts over the last 3 years. But as in why we're doing so well this season, you've got to sort of have a look and go, is it because he's a football genius, or is it because the strategy he set out at the beginning of the season isn't where he is now? Because we were buying players to match his back five and with the wing backs and stuff, and all of a sudden he had to change it halfway through. So we had players what couldn't fill into positions what he needed now. So yeah, but I think he's done all right. He said what he said over the last 3 years. He's put us where he said he would, and yeah, we'll see where we're going from here. If we get to the Prem, then he's a superb manager. If we slip out of the playoffs, did he?
Yeah, I just want to sort of touch a little bit more on your sort of key men. You've mentioned Fleming already, who's got 12 goals, but another man up front, Bradshaw, seems to really be his season so far as well. So I suppose are those two maybe the key men to look out for on Saturday, or is there someone under the radar we should be aware of?
No, I mean, I think Fleming and Bradshaw are the ones what can score goals, but I mean, there's also a few others. I mean, Jake Cooper always is deservable of a goal. And always the bookies, for some unknown reason, will always put him between 9 and 15-1 to score at any time. And the Millwall fans love it. Jake gets a goal every now and then. But there are a few others who are highly capable. I mean, Duncan Watmore, Ollie Burke, they're all capable of, scoring goals. It just depends what sort of team we get, because we played midweek, so players are knackered. And we've got a few injuries. So, yeah.
Yeah, just 2 defeats at home, the last defeat there in September. So I suppose what's been the key to the home form? Has it just been a case of the sort of atmosphere and coming to the Den, or has there been sort of other factors that's made the Den such a fortress this year?
No, I think it's just literally because the team's doing well and the fans are getting behind the team. I think that's pretty much it. The 12th man comes in. As long as we have a player go through the opposition within about 2 or 3 minutes, get the team on board or get the fans on board, and the Den is, as you know, over the years, you've been there a few times. The Den, when it's rocking, is a very, very intimidating place. I wouldn't want to be there as a player because it is so loud pitch side. You just don't understand, that literally you will hear every single murmur out of that crowd when you're coming to take throw-ins and all that. We are not the most friendliest of crowds in the world. We're lovely people, but we're definitely not the most friendly to the opposition.
No, I think we all know that. Just sort of talking about the expectations for the rest of the season. Is it a case of now just sort of consoling the playoff position and making sure you get there, or maybe are you still a little bit concerned you could fall away?
No, I mean, I think it will be whatever it is. I think whatever will be, and I think it's one of those seasons where we've lived on managers previous where they go, well, we need 50 points to be safe. We need 50 points to be safe. And that's all you get through the season. But looking at players, seeing their attitude, seeing their demeanour and everything else, I think the players want it. And they know that actually, there's 12, 13 games and it's in their hands. If they don't do it, they know it's down to them. And I think that's what is making Millwall fans behave or believe this season that potentially it's game on. I reckon there's people in the FA and people in the Premiership who are potentially on the verge of having heart attacks. And I expect there's a lot of other fans and clubs out there at the moment what seem to be watching our scores and thinking, could it happen? Could Millwall get in the Premiership and definitely liven it up for a season? So, fingers crossed. But I'll take whatever we take. If we get a trip to Wembley, fantastic. If we finish just out, I don't think it will be through the art of trying.
Yeah, of course, just going back to the reverse fixture in August, Norwich obviously won that evening 2-0, but 2 Josh Sargent goals, but not a lot between the two sides. So just want to get what your thoughts are on Norwich and potentially the task on Saturday. Have you seen much of us on the TV at all this season?
I've not really seen loads of you. I mean, obviously, you sit there and see the scores and all that, but I mean, you've been okay. You've not been great, have you? You sort of, a few of your players have been injured and you're not sort of scoring like what you were last season. But listen, coming to the Den, it's one of those games where it could be anyone's. If we come at you, then potentially we'll get a victory and we'll put you in your place. But if we don't and we give you too much respect, then you could be all over us. And past seasons have shown what sort of levels you can hurt us at the Den. So yeah.
Just before we get your thoughts on the game and the score prediction, just want to see, is there anyone in the Norwich camp, sort of player-wise, you're particularly concerned about? I know Pyke's often someone who quite enjoys the goal against Millwall. Is he maybe someone you're aware of?
Well, he's not necessarily been scoring massively for you. So as long as he doesn't come back to form against us, then yeah. But he's a great player, though. He does love scoring, and sometimes we have this curse of players who aren't performing suddenly come to us and, score a couple of goals. So fingers crossed he wakes up with a Millwall flu in the morning. But no, Pyke's a good little player. You've got a few good little players there. You just hope that they don't turn up on Saturday.
Yes, that's the point in the show. Just want to get your thoughts on the game and a score prediction for this one. Of course, I think I look back at the stats. Norwich just 1 defeat in 11 against Millwall, but of course you guys unbeaten at home as well since September. So there's someone there that's going to lose a potential record.
I'm going to go 2-1 Millwall. I just think that we've been hard fighting and holding games out, and I think that we could potentially I think if we can come at you, get a goal, hold it off, and I think definitely you'll probably score, but I'm going to go 2-1 Millwall.
No, I really appreciate that.
And keep on our fight.
Really appreciate your time. Do you just want to plug your guys' podcast?
Yeah, it's easy to find. We're called That Millwall Pod. We're across all social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And basically we just give honest, open opinions. If you go on our YouTube channel after our game on Saturday, we do a feature which is called Chat with Chats. Chat with Chaps even, and it's basically one of our guys who gives a 20-minute breakdown of how he thought the game. We've got some previous ones on there. You'll see that he's very honest and gives a good breakdown of the game. So if you want a match report afterwards, have a look, check it out. It's not a bad feature, to be fair, but just don't tell him I said that.
That's great. Really appreciate your time, Micky. That will round off this week's show. Really looking forward to the trip down to the Den. It's sort of the first time where I think David Wagner can probably put himself up against a potential playoff candidate, and we'll see how Norwich City come out of their trip to the Den. So with that, we'll round off the show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.